My daughter disowned me for her stepmother because she says I'm too poor. Well, a couple years later, she wants to reconcile, but I have this to say to her. Looking for jobs at your 40s can be tasking and depressing. I was coming back from an interview under the scorching sun when I spotted a coffee shop and decided to stop by to cool my head. I entered and saw the large number of people there. Families, friends, lovers, singles. We all seemed to come there for the same reason, escaping the hot weather while we sip on some iced coffee. The voice in my head told me I can start a coffee business. It might just ease my lonely, boring, and depressing life. I mean, I'll get to see different people troop in, smile at them, and watch them smile too. It sounded like a really nice idea. I bought my coffee with a smile on my face. I felt I have my whole life together already. I was grinning from ear to ear like a teenage girl. Before I left the coffee shop, I decided to ask for the owner of the shop. Fortunately for me, she was seated somewhere around the cashier. The coffee shop owner looked like someone in her late 30s. I greeted her. I also introduced myself. I said, "My name's Veronica," and she said she was Flora. Moving on, I told her that they make really good coffees. She gave me a big old smile. At that moment, I knew she was someone I could talk to, and I stated that my business was, I have interest in opening a coffee shop of my own. I told her it was her shop that gave me the inspiration. Well, she was happy to hear it, but we exchanged contacts, and she promised to contact me and help me whenever things were necessary. It's been a month of me owning my own coffee shop now. I actually thought I'd have a story of days of humble beginnings before the story was totally different. The patronage I received made it seem as if the neighborhood has been waiting for a coffee shop all their life. I received a lot of support day in and day out, and that I had to source for helping hands. Flora and I became really good friends. She stops by at my shop and often makes jokes about not knowing about the neighborhood before me. She advised I add something else to the coffee business just to spice things up a bit. I suggested adding cookies. It was a really bright idea. I started making cookies and coffee, and I named the business Nice Cookies and Coffee. My business fetched me really good money, and I've never left my shop from morning till night. I blame myself for not knowing about this a long time ago. I would have been so comfortable with my family together, well, assuming I wasn't left alone by my family. I wouldn't have had any reason to go out of my comfort zone and look for a job. Nice Cookies and Coffee became a household name. Working class men and women stop by every morning to drink and eat before heading to work. Watching people nod their heads in satisfaction after sipping from the heart, if only my life is as perfect as my coffee. It was a cold evening and we had only a few customers in the shop. I sat in a customer spot. I was lost in thought. I was brought back to reality when Flora came. I was happy to see her. She came with a girl of about 16 years of age, blonde hair. She looked really pretty. I thought she was Flora's daughter, as I haven't really seen any of her children. We sat together and Flora told me she brought the girl to me. She said she needs a job. I was confused because Flora has a business too. She could have just employed her for an after-school work. Flora said she needs to be monitored, and also she has a lot of people working in her shop already. So she thought bringing her to me was the best idea. I didn't think twice before I told Flora the girl can stay with me. I saw the girl give me a bright smile, and I saw my daughter's face in her. I shook the thought off immediately. No, I don't have a daughter. I asked the girl to introduce herself. She said she was Emily. Her name was soothing. She said she would like to work with me and also stay with me. My name took a new turn as a new whole chapter in my life, a new companion. I see Emily every day and she was an amazing girl. She calls me Auntie Nika. She was so respectful and diligent. I treated her the same way I would treat my daughter. Actually, I wish she was my daughter. Living with Emily was great. She goes to school like every other kid and reports to the coffee shop after school. I made her and I pay her despite her living in my house. Emily was an orphan, and I never wanted to help someone the way I wanted to help and be there for Emily. I loved her. She warms my heart. We got home from the shop on a weekend, and Emily asked if I had a boyfriend. I found the statement amusing. She said she hasn't been seeing anyone around me, so she thought that she would ask. I told her she's too young to be thinking about all that, and she said, yeah, but Auntie, you're not too young to have a boyfriend. We laughed, and I told her I was once married. I saw surprise and shock written all over her face. Emily repeated my words. You were once married? Where's your husband now? Is he dead? Oh, I'm sorry. I told her to be quiet and quit dreaming. I told Emily my former husband wasn't dead. In fact, he is very much alive, and I told her to go to bed. I'll tell her about him someday. Months passed. Years passed. The bond between myself and Emily grew so much. She told me she has a confession to make someday. Emily said she loved me and wished I would take her as my daughter. Butterflies were actually dancing in my belly that day. It was warming and cooling to hear such from her. She said I did not know her from anywhere, yet I took her as my own. She said she wouldn't wish to be somewhere else other than my place, and I pulled her into a hug. The 16-year-old Emily is 19 now, and I think she was really grown. Emily broke the hug, and she said she's been meaning to ask me if she could call me Mom. I was caught unaware. I told her yes, my daughter. Emily hugged me, and then I knew my family is just not about blood. I didn't birth Emily, but she was family to me, and I was same to her. We became mother and daughter. She would shout Mommy from a distance so that people would know I was around. Emily was proud to show me off. From auntie to mommy, that was so beautiful. After years of being separated from my daughter, I could finally be a mother to someone, and I could finally have a daughter to myself. Flora was amazed at how much we've grown towards each other. She would tell me she has always been jealous of me. It seems all the good things are only meant to come to me. Emily was 20 and was ready for college. I cried at how much I've come to raising a child of my own. It was an emotional moment for the both of us, and I told Emily I was going to tell her about my former husband. In fact, my daughter, she was amazed I had a daughter. She said she never thought that I had one, and I told her my daughter's name was Olivia. Although she has another mother now, Emily asked me how. What I meant by she has another mother, I told Emily my daughter left me for another woman with her father. The woman was my husband's boss at work, and she was rich. Until today, I could not understand how they managed to click, to the extent of my husband moving in with her. She was like 37 years old then. I knew her, she knew me. She was a family friend because my husband has nice things to say about her. Not knowing this would eventually happen between them, as far as I knew, this woman, she was once married and got divorced over infidelity. Why my husband decided to get involved with a woman like her was a mystery. Well, I do know money was involved. My husband worked a 9 to 5 in a publishing company. I worked in a financial secretary in a micro-financial company. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable, and the little we have. We gave birth to a baby girl. We named her Olivia. She was great, a little addition to our family. My husband loved and cherished her, and I did too. My Olivia grew up to be a daddy's girl. She always wanted to be where father was. I didn't understand why I would carry you for 9 months, and you'll end up liking your father more. Myself and Emily laughed at that statement, and we were a really big family. Olivia grew up to be a really beautiful girl. The microfinance company I was working with then went through a major crisis, and a large number of us were laid off, becoming incapacitated, and I could no longer support the bills. Things became really tough. My husband became aggressive, and I really can't blame him because it used to be the both of us sorting bills out. But the whole load was just dumped on him. Well, I tried to secure another job, but I was cut off because of my age. I engaged in menial jobs, but those did not affect any changes. Olivia started looking at me as if I wasn't trying enough. She was 16. She wasn't so young to not understand the situation of things. My daughter would tell me I was making her father spend too much. My daughter would lecture me on how I was supposed to take responsibility too. For the 15 years of her life, I was never out of work. I lost it. I got laid off. It wasn't my fault. Well, my daughter refused to understand me. I would cry day and night, thinking I was so alone. My husband was aggressive, so, as my daughter, she was really her father's daughter. Olivia and her father would stay out late in the night. I started seeing different things I did not buy from my daughter with her. I would ask her how she got it, and she would tell me her father's boss from work bought her those. How? What kind of relationship is that? Why would she be buying her things like that? I confronted my husband, and he would tell me someone that cares about his daughter hit her the necessary things and not failed mother like me. I didn't understand how me losing my job brought this hatred. We were once a big happy family. Months after the whole charade, my husband moved out of the house together with my daughter. They both left suddenly. They left the house straight to me, and I went to his place of work. And this shameless man told me his boss offered him a space in her house. You moved in with your boss with my daughter? Why are you so heartless? I tried to reach my daughter on many occasions. When I finally got through to her, she told me to stop looking for her. She told me she has a new mom, and she's willing to do everything for her. To be honest, I never got mad at my daughter. I knew she was young. I kept on waiting for her to kiss me and come back to me, and I just never stopped reaching out to her. I got threatened to stay away from her. Well, I got back from one of my menial jobs on this fateful day just to meet papers. What papers, you might ask? Divorce papers. My husband, the father of my daughter, wants a divorce. I didn't think twice before I signed those darn papers. We separated and he gained custody of our daughter. I didn't even have what it takes to fight back. I was separated from my daughter and my husband for years. My girl never missed me. It's been years without my daughter before I finally met you, Emily. I told Emily the first time I saw her, when I saw my smile. And her smile, she just reminded me of my daughter. The last time I saw her genuinely smile at me was when she was around Emily's age. Olivia grew up, and I expected her to now have a better understanding of what happened to our family. I never saw my daughter, and she never reached out to me. Of course, I do communicate with her father. He would tell me my daughter was doing fine. He gave me her social media handle. He said I should see my child's activities through my phone and not dare move closer to her. I knew my daughter was living just fine, so I begged my husband to allow me just to speak to my daughter at least once. He told me the highest he can do is arrange for us to meet. I told him that's fine by me, because all I wanted was to have a mother-daughter conversation with her. Theo, my daughter's father, arranged for me and my daughter to meet. Well, we met, and I wowed at how big my so little daughter was. A part of me was pained I did not watch her develop into this, and a part of me was happy she was alive, well and good. Olivia did not acknowledge me. She did not give me any regard as her mother. I saw pain in her eyes, but she was covering it with a nonchalant look. I felt she missed me, but she acted like a snub. I asked her how life has been treating her, and my daughter said life has been good to her. She said she knows I now have a business, and she has patronized once. I was surprised. When did she come to my shop? She said for someone with a hard life, she never expected me to pull such. Who says that to their mother? I knew I had a little to no say over her anymore. I held in everything I wanted to say to her, and Olivia told me it was my fault she was left with her father. How, Olivia? I tried. You grew up to see me strive for a better life. When did I become so dirty to you? My daughter just rolled her eyes at me, and I told her I have a daughter, though. She was taken aback. I told her an adoptive daughter took up the role she refused to take, and I ended the meeting myself. As I had nothing to say to her, I excused her excesses because I thought she was young, but she grew up not looking back too, and that was enough for me. Emily hugged me. She told me she promised to be there for me so I would not have to think about my struggles. I told Emily I decided to tell her this story because she's grown and now ready for college. I told her Olivia reached out to me weeping. Olivia told me her estranged stepmother never stopped cheating on her father. She said her stepmom never stopped hauling insults on her and her father. She said she regretted ever leaving me, and I told Olivia to continue living like she never knew me. Olivia, amidst tears, bragged about how she's gone to college and how she can manage my business well. Well, my daughter said she knew I was doing well and would love to help me grow. She said she has enough following on social media and we could use her for help for good publicity. My daughter's words have never been that bland in my ears. I knew Olivia only reached out because of money. I don't want her anymore. I told Emily I have her now, and she came when I just started my business. She has watched it grow, and she grew with me. Emily, you are just enough for me, and Emily told me I was enough for her too, and she's happy to have me as her mother. Alright, so this was a wild story. I have one question for you guys. If you were in OP's position, how would you have handled this situation, guys? Drop it in the comment section down below. Thanks for joining me on this story. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to subscribe. It's just one button right below the video, and I'll talk to you guys later.